Hello and welcome to the second tutorial on designing DNA nanotechnology structures in vHelix for simulation in oxDNA. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to design structures that are a little bit more tricky than in the last one. And I have chosen this Rotaxane structure as an example. And it's from a paper in the from the Famulok group in Germany, from Nature Nanotechnology 2010, where they create a number of double-stranded DNA rotaxanes. And the one I've chosen to focus on in this tutorial is this one, which consists of a double-stranded sort of thread in the middle that has two spherical stoppers, and then of course in the middle a rotaxane ring. And this might be an interesting thing to design for oxDNA because of course we gotta figure out how to design the stoppers and how to get this circle to thread the ring. So first I just need to thank my sponsor again. So it's the EU who pays for my work. So thank you, EU. And then we can move straight into vHelix. So what I've done this time again is to create an image plane of an image of the design that we're going to make, and I'm going to import into vHelix using create free image plane, and then I'm going to select an image here, and it's this one. So this is a supplementary figure 9C from this paper, and what I did is I just counted sort of the roughly the number of nucleotides needed for each part and written it out on the figure, so I know for this tutorial. And I'm just gonna move it back a little bit, and then we're just gonna start designing it. So the central part here is a thread that is 100 nucleotides double-stranded. So I'm just gonna do that again, helix, create helix, and then click the little box and type in 100 to create a thread. Okay, and now it aligns orthogonally to the image plane, so I'm just going to rotate the image plane. Oh no. Oh wow. Okay, so here I'm going to show you something else that I'm going to use in this tutorial, and that's the attributes editor, where I can actually set the angles I want for this rotation. So if you don't see the attributes editor, you find it Window, General Editors, Attributes Editor. And what's nice here is that you can actually type in absolute numbers for rotation and translation. So in this case, I think I wanted to rotate exactly 90 degrees and then 0 on the other axis. Okay, good. And then I'm going to move it backwards. So then I could actually again use here to just put in -3, for example, to move it backwards. Okay, that looks good. And I'm also going to scale it up a little bit. So R accesses the scaling menu, the scaling tool, and then we can scale it up like this. So now we have the central thread, and now we can start designing the first stopper. So the stoppers consist of 4 arms that are each 84 nucleotides long. So we're just going to create them separately. I think I'm actually going to have to move back the image a little bit more. So we just do helix, create helix, and then type in 84. And now these helices are created inside the thread, but it doesn't matter. And here again, we're going to use the attributes editor to rotate them, so they need to be standing up. So I think it's this one. Just put 90 degrees here. Yeah, and now it's standing up. That's great. And then I'm going to move the helix over here. So this is going to be the first part of the stopper. And then we need to create 4 of these for the stopper. So I'm just going to create another one. Rotate it 90 degrees. And move it. So this can be this one. Helix, create helix. Rotate it 90 degrees. And then finally helix, create helix, rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, I think that's good. Now we can start connecting them up. So this is going to be roughly the Rotaxane design, so I'm not going to keep a complete... I'm not going to check super carefully that I'm connecting the right things to each other, so this might not be exactly the design in this paper. I'm just going to quickly connect things up. So I'm just going to go through the top and connect the strands to its neighbors. So I'm going to select the 3' end of this one, and then shift click the 5' end of the next strand, helix, connect bases. And I'm going to take the 3' end of this helix and go to the 5' end of this helix and do helix, connect bases. And then I'll do the 3' end here, shift select the 5' end, helix, connect bases. Now the 3' end and the 5' end, helix, connect bases. So now everything I think is connected on the top. Yep. So now we're just going to move to the bottom, and then I'm going to do it in the opposite direction. So then that will create these circles. So then I do 3' end, shift select 5' end, helix, connect bases. 3' end to 5' end, helix, connect bases. Helix, connect bases. And then finally this one. Helix, connect bases. Okay, so now the stopper is connected up in 4 circles, and that are locked with each other. And now I'm gonna connect the stopper to the thread. So I'm just gonna put a nick somewhere in the middle here. So I'm not sure which of these strands it should be on, but I'm just gonna put it on this strand and just sort of roughly in the middle. And I'll do helix, disconnect bases. Okay. So now I'm do 3' to 5', helix, connect bases, 3' to 5', helix, connect bases. All right, now this end of the stopper is done, and now we can create the other stopper. So do helix, create helix again with 84, and then we rotate it 90 degrees to stand up and move it over here. And we do again helix, create helix, rotate 90 degrees, just put it here. Do helix, create helix, rotate 90 degrees. Maybe you want to fast forward through this part. Yeah, that looks good. Helix, create helix, rotate 90 degrees, and move it. Alright, so now we gotta connect this one up also. We do this one to this one. Connect bases. Helix, connect bases. All right. to the bottom. This one to this one. Helix, connect bases. Helix, connect bases. Alright, so now this stopper is connected up. And now we need to take care of the junction to the thread. And I'm just gonna put a arbitrary cut here, not thinking about which strand should actually be cut. So this is, of course, just an approximation. Helix, disconnect bases, put a nice nick, and then do like this. No, wait. Oh, now I have both bases selected actually, sorry. This to this. Connect bases. Oh, you should of course be saving this as you work. Save scene as. Sorry about that. If you need to go back, Rotaxane. So I'm just going to call this Rotaxane. Okay. So now we have essentially the entire thread part of the Rotaxane is set up now. And now we just need to take care of this Rotaxane ring. So, and we wanted to thread around the slider here, and I can imagine a few ways of getting a nice ring that actually threads it. So one way would be to just create them separately, simulate them separately, and then merge the simulations in oxU, for example, and just put the ring on the thread. But here I'm going to try to create all inside vHelix. And what I'm going to do is, since I can only create straight helices, and I want it to close around the thread, I'm going to create the ring in two parts. So instead of creating one helix that is 126 nucleotides, I'm going to create two helices that are 63 nucleotides each. So helix, create helix, 63. I'm going to stand it up. And then I'm going to move it so one of them is on this side of the thread. Like this maybe. And the other, and then we create one more. Rotate it. And move it so the other side. And then I'm just going to connect these ones across the thread. And it's probably important to think about which end you connect now, because that can control the amount of twist in your circle, but I'm just going to do it the quick way, so this might not be the correct way. So I just do 3' to 5', helix, connect bases, 3' to 5', helix, connect bases, and then in the bottom, 3' to 5', connect bases, and then finally 3' to 5', helix, connect bases. Alright, now the design is topologically complete, I think. So I am ignoring this gap here, which you could of course include by just deleting a few nucleotides. But I'm just going to simulate like this. But what we are missing now is the sequences. So the way the vHelix oxDNA exporter works right now is that if you don't assign a sequence to nucleotides, they will all turn into thymines, including the base pairs. So in this case, everything would be thymines and nothing would base pair. So what I could do is to read off all the sequence here, but I think that would take a really long time. So I'm just going to put in some sort of arbitrary sequence on the DNA here. And I'm just going to take some, since I usually work with DNA origami, I'm just going to take the scaffold sequence of of the M13 MP18 and just copy it in here. So I just copy it, and then we're just going to have to move around and assign it everywhere. So I do here, Helix, apply sequence, and now the thread is done, and then we do the circle, Helix. So now I'm applying the same sequence in multiple places, which of course wouldn't be good for assembly, but since we're already simulating something that's assembled, I'm sure it's going to be fine. So now this strand is taken care of, and then we just see if it has a sequence or a question mark. So this here, we have question marks, we need to assign a sequence. And here we have question marks. And just paste in the same sequence over and over. Okay, now I think all of this stopper is done. And then we go to the other stopper. And have a look. So, Helix, apply sequence. Okay. Okay. Now it seems like we've applied sequence everywhere that we're interested in. So now we can just save it again. File, save scene, continue. Okay, now I think we are done and we are ready to move into oxDNA. So what we do is we do again file, export all, and then make sure we have the oxDNA option selected. And then I create a folder called tutorial Rotaxane. So I'm just going to save it as Rotaxane. And now it's going to take a little bit longer to export as we're working with much more DNA than we did in the last one. And the simulations are also going to be slower, especially on the laptop that I'm working on right now. Okay, let's see what we got. So go into the folder. We've created the rotaxane.top and rotaxane.conf. And then we can move into oxview. Just refresh it and put in our new files. So it's rotaxane.conf and rotaxane.top. And then we just see if it makes sense. So here it's easier to see the connections. And it all looks like it's connected up properly. So that's good. I think we can move on to a simulation. Try to simulate this. So here we can actually use exactly the same input files as last time, but we have to change one thing. So we start with input min, edit it with Notepad, and what we need to change is the name of the input files because they're not called tile this time. We have to change them to rotaxane.top and rotaxane.conf, but I've already done this. So then we can bring up our Ubuntu window here, and I have already moved to this folder, so I am already in the folder tutorial Rotaxane. So if I do ls, I can see the name of my files. And then I can just start oxDNA on these files by doing sudo, and then the path to the oxDNA, to my oxDNA compilation. Bin oxDNA, and then I just give it the name of the input file, which is input min in this case. And then I enter my password, and now it's going, so that's great. So now it's running quite a bit slower than last time because this structure is much larger than last time, so it's several hundred new base pairs. Alright, now that is done, and on my laptop that took 80 seconds to finish. Now we can just go into oxview and see what the results are. So now we've created min_try.dat. So if we select, I'm just going to see this, I'm just going to refresh oxview. Yeah, it was already refreshed. And then we select min_try.dat and rotaxane.top. Just drag them in. We get this nice trajectory where we can see what's happening here. So already in this 10,000 steps, it's already being pulled together quite well. So now we can just move on to the relaxation simulation. So I'm just going to refresh. And then we can again use the input relax that we used last time, but we have to make sure that we change the name of the topology file. So the configuration file is going to be the same as last time. It's just going to be min.conf, which is the output of the minimization, but the topology has to be changed to rotaxane.top. And then we can just bring up Ubuntu, and then we just hit the up arrow to bring up the same line as we used last time, but we're going to change the input file to input relax and hit enter. And now we're going to do 100,000 steps of simulation of this larger system, so it's going to take a little while on my laptop. Alright, now the relaxation simulation is finished, and on my laptop it took about 800 seconds to finish. So, and my laptop got quite warm in the simulation, so let's see what came out. Oh, it's not so out we get this relax try.dat, and we take it together with rotaxane.top and pull it into oxview. Now we can see what the relaxation simulation is doing. So it's actually quite quickly pulling together these overstretched bonds. And if we look into trajectory, already after 24,000 steps, it seems like these long bonds have been pulled together. And the simulation is going. So what you might not know is how long you need to relax your simulation. And this is still, for let's say for large origami, it's still a relatively short relaxation simulation. What you can do is you can try to relax it and then try to run a real simulation on it. And if some bonds are still overstretched, it will complain and crash. So just to verify that it's actually working now, we're going to start a real simulation. So then we're going to use input go from last time, edit with Notepad++, and just make sure that we have changed the input file to rotaxane.top. And now it's set to run for 100,000 steps of simulation with standard backbone potential. And then we're just going to run it in the same sense. So we're going to press the up key to get the repeat of the last line, and we're going to change input to input go. I'm going to have to enter my password again. Now it's running without any complaints, so it seems like the relaxation has been good enough. And if you want, you can leave the simulation running as long as you want, but I'm just going to stop it right now by pressing Ctrl+C. And then we get the last state of the simulation output as sim.conf. I'm just going to take it together with rotaxane.top and pull it into oxview, and we can see that we have created the structure that we're trying to do. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and thank you for watching.